Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Timberborn. This is superb. You're looking fabulous today. So, I'm trying to remember where we were up to last time. I just finished a little stream trying to play Diorama, the hardest map on hard difficulty, and after 3.5 hours of trying my best, ended up losing the colony. So, because I've been so focused on that, I'm having a little bit of trouble remembering where we were up to. So, we were collecting some scrap metal, which is a good sign. It seems we were trying to cross this natural overhang here. Oh, I believe we were wanting to block this up actually, so as to channel the water around out the side when bad tides begin to come. Now, looking around, it looks like we're in pretty good nick. We've got plenty of wood on the way. We do have a bit of water stored up. We have plenty of food, although it could be better. I think maybe, yeah. I think one thing to do to start off with is we want higher production of materials, I think. I think we would also like to begin getting some metal blocks in place, because once we've got metal blocks, we can start putting in sluices. Now, the sluices will allow us to automatically alternate the water flow down different channels that we build depending on contamination levels, which means we could really automate sending this bad water out off the map until we're finished building this out to bring it down to this other bad water source off the map, but to utilize power wheels down that way as well. I would also like to build a large dam straight along here. In doing so, we can secure our future by having a huge amount of water stored and have sluices automatically control the level of the water that comes through here to make sure our lands and our trees and our farms are always well irrigated. So I think the first thing we might do, now that we're beginning to get gears, make some gears. It looks like I was putting in some inventor huts, but I think what we might do is we might build some large water storage first before we do anything else. Now, in deciding where to put this water storage, I think that potentially we might put it just here where the birch are. Now, the birch aren't super important, and all of this land is going to be taken up by our dam. I think potentially we will end up removing these trees here entirely, so as we can put in another log pumper as well as some large storage. So what I might do is actually clear this planting area so that as the trees are cut down, they're not being replaced, and it will eventually open up the space to build these things. Now, we are slacking on food a little bit, it seems. Why might that be? We do have a growing population, so that definitely doesn't help. I think we may... See, we do have plenty of cassavas here. It just seems like we're not getting to everything. Maybe it's worthwhile building another farmhouse. Maybe it's worthwhile building an additional farmhouse just to make sure we're harvesting everything as efficiently as possible, because there are quite a lot of resources which aren't being harvested in time. You know what? I think we will put in another farmhouse. So we might mark these resources for demolition. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but my hopping mice, they've got a large coop not far from my desk actually, and being nocturnal, yeah, they're quite active at night, and they really love chewing on everything, including rattling their cage. Now we've got a few buildings that don't have workers. Are they all these inventor huts? They are. So that's not the end of the world then. And so what project are we working on? I think it might be worthwhile getting another oh, we've only got 2 builders, so it should keep up nicely. But what are we going to begin working on? Now we can't remove all these berries without replacing new berries, because the iron teeth are dependent on the berries since we need them for the breeding pods. In fact, you know what? I might build a forester down here and begin to plant this out with berries so that we can safely remove some of these berries as we begin to construct the Uber Dam. So with that, we'll get a forester. Maybe in here? I think here would be a good spot. Now keeping in mind as well, in time we'll be able to keep all of this irrigated, as we're going to have the bad water flow through here over an aqueduct we built and will build and off the edge of the map. So in the meantime, I say we plant a whole lot of blueberries. And more down here. If we can get some stairs in here as well. I know it's further along since this ground is contaminated at the moment, but it means we'll be able to open up a little bit more space here, utilised for farming and so forth. Now with the forester, I might up the priority there, but I do want to check replant dead trees not marked for cutting. Now this will mean if any die due to contamination or drying out, that they will end up being replanted, which is a lesson I learnt the hard way before. Now it looks like they've cleared out this space here, so we can go in and put a new farmhouse. And I think I'm going to also set this farmhouse at a higher workplace priority, and also setting it towards harvesting, so we can really make sure that we're harvesting everything as fast as possible, and that this farmhouse can focus on replanting. I think I would also like to see our population growing a little bit faster, since I do want to expedite some of the building that we're going to be doing. So for that reason, I might pop in a couple of breeding pods, a couple more breeding pods rather, potentially 2 just here. We'll likely end up removing them down the track as we rearrange the most ideal layout, most aesthetic layout, but in the meantime that will work well for what we need. And I might bump up the priority of those. Ultimately what I would like to end up doing is actually putting a new builder's hut in, since at the moment we're reliant on builders that are actually part of the town centre, and because of that we are going to be limited in how fast we can build new things. As we build the Uber Dam, I'm planning on having it quite high, at least up to this level, and spanning the whole length around here. So not only is that going to be a lot of wood that we need to collect for that, but we're also going to need a lot of builders to build it in a timely fashion without it taking 3 IRL years. I would also like to expedite building this out in such a way that in the short term we're able to build some temporary structures which will mitigate bad water coming down and contaminating our normal irrigation by sending it straight off the map. Because if we lose this to bad water, we run the risk of wiping out the colony. It's much easier to survive droughts than it is contamination. Since droughts, you're able to utilise an amount of water that's already irrigating the land. Whereas with bad tides, we automatically lose all of this straight away. So a drought that lasts 10 days, in my mind, isn't as bad as a bad tide that lasts 5, because you know with those 5 days of bad tide that you're up the poop basically, without a paddle. Whereas at least with droughts, of that 10-day drought, you might be able to eke out enough water already irrigating the land and pumping with the water pumpers for maybe 3 or 4 days of those 10, and then you're only needing to survive 6 without water and irrigation. However, trees, while they won't actively grow during bad tides or during droughts where there's no irrigation, they will at least stay alive, and they'll generally take about 9 to 12 days to dry out and die, which means during a bad tide we've got to reset back to scratch to actually be able to grow them. Whereas at least this, for example, 27% grown isn't going to be lost if we don't end up losing them to the drought. So it looks like we've got a drought coming in 3 days, and we are slacking on water a little bit. We're down to 26. So I might unpause this deep water pump. I think potentially it's worthwhile clearing this out fast. So I might organise for those to be demolished so that we can get a 3rd water pumper in as fast as possible. I am also wondering which buildings are lacking workers. So it looks like it is 5 inventor huts as well as the gear workshop. Now the gears, we are full up on gears at the moment, so I feel like we can pause that safely. I do feel like we should probably build some storage for gears. So we might pop some gear storage just in here and make sure that we connect that up. Set that to gears. But in the meantime, I think the main thing I want to use gears for is the water storage. Now, we do have enough science to unlock this, but it's going to take 20 gears and 30 planks, which is, in the meantime, they have finished removing these trees. So let's pop another water pumper just in there. We'll bump that up, and we might actually leave this space for an aesthetic item like a beaver statue. So I won't worry about putting any small water storage in there. It looks like these berries have been planted now, so we can actually pause this forester. And in the meantime, we do have a gatherer flag there. It's going to be a little while before we actually see berries coming through though. We do have 275 stored up, so I may actually pause you for now so you can go and take up place in one of the inventing huts. Which, you've moved into that one, fabulous. Where are our builders building? So we do have 2 builders, and it looks like they're sat on their butts. We can't have that, so we will begin putting them to use up here. Now I would like to make use of these logs that are here, so we'll go about putting a lumberjack flag in and actually remove these trees by felling. From there we'll be able to begin putting in this temporary structure to actually divert bad water when the bad tides come. We actually have quite a lot of berries available down here in the original spot as well. So we may unpause this gatherer flag, but I noticed that our berry storage is absolutely chock-a-block. So we may put in some additional storage for berries. We do have a little bit of storage available there, but it won't take long to fill up. So we may also put some storage just in here for berries, just to really make sure that we're taking advantage of what is available at the moment, particularly considering we're going to lose some berries when we build the Uber Dam. One of the things I'm particularly excited about this update with overhangs as well is ordinarily to utilize this space for another warehouse, we would have to build up platforms all the way up here, which not only takes a lot of resources, but also blocks out these two spaces here where it's difficult to actually utilize them anymore for anything else. Whereas because of the overhangs, we'll actually be able to detonate with explosives these two spots, pop in a 1x2 overhang, and we'll be able to reclaim this space without losing the space below it, while also being able to save on some resources given the height of it. Now I am a bit concerned by how slowly our water is actually rising. It's up at 130, 140 now, but it was down to 100 overnight. Given birch doesn't actually have that much wood in it, what I might do is, rather than waiting for them to grow, I might demolish these now and then begin putting in our medium water storage. Now the medium water storage, I believe, is 2x2. That's correct. So we'll be able to pop in 2 of these here, and actually there'll be enough free space behind here that with a flipped log pumper we'll be able to pop one in here, a path down here, and we'll be able to have 4 log pumpers in total. I think that's a good idea. Now we do have the science to unlock these medium water tanks, so I think we will begin putting them in now. And we might medium prioritize that one. I don't believe it's going to be, it's definitely not going to be built before the drought starts. And our gear workshop is currently paused as we're beginning to run out of workers, and that's why we need our population to grow so quickly. But I think this will be a good way to go. Now I might plan in the second one already, but I'm going to low prioritize that one. Set these to be water, and in advance we'll put the water pump in here ready to go as well. And by flipping it round, which is a fantastic addition from the devs, there was a community member who, and the drought started. There was a community member who actually made that mod originally, and while I'm not usually one to mod very much, it was hands down one of my favourite mods, just for the quality of life it brought. Now we will pause these log pumpers, just so we can make sure that we keep this irrigated. I do also want to restart the large power wheel so that we can continue making planks throughout the drought. I may pop in an extra worker, and we'll actually unpause the gear workshop as well, just so we can get these water tanks built. Now I noticed that someone has not gone in there because we are running out of workers. So for that reason, do we have someone we can pause? We can pause the gatherer flag. We've got plenty of berries. Oh, and it looks like they've finished building this other farmhouse. I may drop that down to 1 worker, as I don't think it's as imperative that we actually continue harvesting as fast as possible. It looks like we've caught up on it while there were 2 workers in there. And to be honest, I might actually just pause that for now. That extra worker can go into one of our inventor huts, as we're only up to 430 science, and we're going to need quite a lot more to unlock what's coming up ahead, including the smelter and the sluices. Now I notice our workers are sitting on their butts again. In terms of progress on the water tanks, it looks like they've already filled up 30 planks in each, and we're just waiting on the gears now. Now we have unpaused the gear workshop, so we will be producing gears, and it looks like with 3 workers in here, we are just meeting the demand of the wood workshop, the gear workshop, and the fermenter, producing fermented cassavas. So I think with that in mind, we might begin constructing this large dam, the Uber Dam, the Mega Dam. I really don't know what to call it. I keep interchanging. So what we might do is we'll path up around here, and I'm not 100% sure how large I would like this to go. I definitely want it to come around this far. I would ideally like it to come around here maybe, but maybe we should just stick there so we can still keep a bit of green space for these trees. I also think I would like it to curve around a little bit to kind of replicate what dams actually look like in real life. So potentially we could have it wrap around here and connect around there. Now I know ordinarily dams curve inward, concave, but this is a video game about magic beavers. Well, maybe not magic beavers, but evolutionarily superior beavers. So I think we begin placing in the levees, and we'll have to unlock those just so we can begin working on this, as it's going to take quite a while. Now I would ideally like to have sluices in before we really finish this off, but I think in the meantime we can begin spanning this out so that at least our workers have something to work on. I think potentially also the most efficient way to actually begin building this out is to come up from above and work below. Builders can work infinitely below the spot on which they're standing, but they can only build up by one block, which means we would have to stair up anyway. And I think coming up from the cliffside will mean as we expand this out, it's easy to alter what we've already got so that we can actually get on top of it. We already have all 3 platforms unlocked, so I think we will begin spanning these out. Actually, I think a more efficient use of space here would be to set some storage underneath it. So what we might do is pop some storage there, have the double platform and single platform there, and then stairs smoothly up. We have one small spot available here, so we'll pop another little workshop there. Another little storage rather. Now in this medium warehouse, I think I would like to put gears in there, and planning in advance, I might just pop this little one as some dynamite, just so we've got something small for when we start producing dynamite. I think we will try and get some metal on the go as fast as possible so that we can build these sluices and get it going smoothly, as opposed to installing floodgates, which we will then have to remove. Now I will begin to path up with levees around this, but I think I may leave a small gap just so our gatherer flag can get through to these berries. And it looks like just like that we've survived the drought. Now on the map I was playing on stream, I was playing on diorama, which is arguably the hardest map given its space limitations, and also I was also playing on hard difficulty, so quite quickly the droughts were up to 10 or so days, as well as having bad tides that were lasting just as long. So to be playing this map now on normal difficulty, where the droughts just seem to come and go so quickly, it's nowhere near as threatening. Now I think we will remove these berry bushes just here, just so we can begin getting these levees in. And I might up the priority of that. Now that the water's beginning to return as well, we can pause this large power wheel, and hopefully the power production of these water wheels will meet the demand that we currently have. Now my original plan was to have an oil press followed by a fermenter to make use of these overall connections. However, I feel like I would like to expedite getting a smelter in, and I think that might be the way to go. I don't believe it will fit as an overhang there, because I would like to put one more row of water wheels, I think. Actually, no, I think that might be the way to go, to pop it in just like that, which will make placing an oil press and then a fermenter a lot easier. I know it will limit the number of water wheels that we can actually have, but ultimately I would also like to connect these up via a generator. So what we will do is place in some platforms and then place in our smelter to begin being built. I also think that when it comes time that we can build a generator, or an engine rather, takes up the same footprint as this large power wheel, being 3x3. So when that time comes, I think we will be able to smoothly delete this and then just rebuild in its place, taking up the same footprint. Oh, and the beavers have been busy. We've already got a medium water tank. This is the beauty of being able to actually produce industrial goods throughout the drought, thanks to, in this case, the large power wheel, because it's meant we've been able to continue getting the gears to actually get this built. So while this water tank is a lower priority, I may actually slightly increase the priority of this smelter, just so we can get the metal blocks being produced faster, and that way we can actually get these sluices built, which is going to be the main point of getting this dam built. And it looks like the beavers have finished removing these berry bushes here, so we'll path this up as well with levees. We also have a lot of trees that are waiting to be cut down, but we're also fairly full on log storage as well. I would like to be storing on average more than 200 odd logs as well, so I think we are going to go through and put in a new industrial pile as well. Now I am noticing as well, these pine trees are beginning to develop resin, and we're still not getting around to completely cutting them all down. What I might actually do, how much science is a tapper's shack? 500. I think it may be worthwhile building a tapper shack sooner rather than later, so that we can start collecting some pine resin and we'll have it ready to go when we need it. Now we do have a beaver with nothing to do in range. Oh wow, you have been busy. You've already gone about finishing doing this. So with this in mind, we do want to get the sluices in. The sluices are going to take metal blocks, which we're not producing yet. I'm a little bit unsure as to whether we wait a little bit before building this out, or whether we may potentially be able to get this dynamited before we have our first bad tide. I don't think I want to take my chances though. So I think what we may do is actually begin. I've just realised something. We've got 2 water sources here, but we're only going to be able to have 1 block wide as it comes through here, because this wall will need to be levees. I'm worried about this section here potentially being a bottleneck if we have levees running this perimeter. We can do crossways, that might be the way to go. It's only going to be a temporary structure. I plan on recessing it within the ground to be level this natural overhang just over here. So I believe we will start putting it through over here. We will remove this path and the adjacent 2 pieces. We'll put in a levee and put in some stairs to climb over. It looks like our population is beginning to grow fairly fast as well, thanks to these additional breeding pods. We actually have 1 unemployed beaver. Where can we put you in? The smelter is going to be finished fairly soon. Actually no, we still have another 38 planks to go, which we do not have ready to go yet. So for that reason, we already have all of our inventor huts taken up. So I may just put you back on berry duty. Our colony is actually growing faster than I anticipated, so we might pause one of these breeding pods, but also notice we've got 5 beavers that are currently homeless. So I might pop in another house somewhere. Where am I going to put it? I think up here may be the way to go. I do feel once this smelter is built as well, we may be struggling on power. A smelter takes 200 horsepower. It takes 200 electricity. We're only producing 100 in surplus. So we may also begin putting in some additional water wheels. Now I don't believe there is a gap there. No, there's no gap between. So we'll put this one in first, and then we'll go about putting in the levees just along. Actually, we won't need the levees there. No, that's alright. We've got a little spot just here as well. So I might put in a small industrial pile so that we can store a few more planks. Something else I would like to do as well is actually utilising this bad water source up here. Now I say that because I'm thinking of putting in a water wheel here with a number cruncher next to it. What that will mean is the number cruncher, even if it's not working at full capacity, it won't be drawing power from our main industrial area down here, and it will be able to just passively produce power while it's over here. Now the number cruncher does take, I think, 1500 science? 1500. So it will be a little while before we can afford that, but like I've said in the previous episode, the number cruncher is a game changer when upgrading from the inventor huts, which produce 1 every hour, while the number cruncher produces 10 every hour. Even if the number cruncher is working at half capacity, that's still 5 times more than the inventor will produce. I think what we may do is, where is power wheels? We may look at actually unlocking the large power wheel to put in this space. Now remembering as well that as we go along, we're going to bring the other bad water source during a bad tide down here, through here. We may utilise this space for pumping bad water and utilising this space for electricity as it flows through the aqueduct. So what I might do in advance is pop. How big are the large power wheels? Okay, fairly large. So we're going to have to... Oh, actually we won't be able to fit that because we can't demolish that, because then the bad water will spill out. And it won't fit there without removing that piece. So in that case, we are just going to use compact water wheels. That will be a much safer bet. So we'll put 2 of those in there. Now we can't get around this just yet. So what we might do is actually just put some stairs in. Connect around the side and over the top. Put some stairs down. And then begin pathing over to it all. And from there, we'll put a number cruncher on the side. Something else I would like to do as well, all of this land along the earlier part of the river is actually one higher than down the end towards where we have the dam. And as a result of that, we're not utilising as much space here as possible for water storage. I'm actually thinking we may block up down here with another smaller dam. We may use sluices for it. I would like to use sluices for it. In the meantime though, we don't have access. Well, that being said, how far along is... Oh, the smelter is almost finished. I think we will go straight in with sluices. We'll sluice up along here and then put dams over the top of that to make sure it doesn't spill over. So, sluices, I think we'll pop in those there. We can put one more in there. We'll put levees around this part. Levees down here. And then dams over the top of that. Now we can't access that right now from this configuration. So what we will need to do is remove some of these crops here so that we can put in some stairs to reach it. Now we do have a beaver with nothing to do in range, and that is the lumberjack. He's removed all of the logs up here. We do, however, have some logs further down this part here. I may not worry about actually harvesting those yet. There might be a little bit of an emergency buffer if we do need it, because we do have so many logs down here waiting to be cut down from these trees. We are slacking on planks a little bit as well. We really can't keep up with demand while we're producing gears. We're also going to need a lot of planks for the building ahead. What I think we might do is, rather than building in the oil press down here straight away, we might actually plan for this to be another lumber mill. I think that might be the way to go, because we will need a second lumber mill to keep up with demands in the late game. So we'll put in some more paths and pop in the lumber mill just on top of that. Now we are getting to a stage where we do have a lot of unemployed beavers. I think what I would like to do is actually begin putting in a new builder's hut. 100 science? Let's do it. I don't know if I want to put it there though, because that will require removal later as we begin to build this space up. Because it's not a building that needs to be directly accessed frequently, I'm going to put the builder's hut there. And with that, we'll high prioritize these as well, just so that we can get to these a bit faster. I am also going to reduce the workplace down by 1, so that as jobs require workers, if we have a population decline, they'll come first from these excess builders, which aren't as much of a priority. I think while we're at it as well, we might get ahead and pop in a hauling post as well. Now, hauling posts, I like to set the workplace priority to the lowest, but also max out the number of workers that can be there. And just like that, our builder's hut is ready to go. Slowly depleting the number of unemployed beavers, but that is with all the jobs that we need running. Hopefully this means we'll be able to build things like the smelter faster, as well as utilising our huge stockpile of logs to actually get these dams built as fast as possible. I think now that we have the sluices unlocked as well, we might begin planning this out. So we want sluices along there, and something I just realised we should do is automatically set these to open, so that once they're built, they're not actually going to flood everything, and that's how we find out they're built. From here, I want to have levees running the full length up, except for the highest point wherein we'll place a dam. Now if we do decide to extend this further up, I'll just remove those dam pieces, replace them with levees, continue our slow ascension up towards the top of this mountain, and then place the dams back in as the top layer. And just like that, we're onto our 4th drought. So one thing I will do is start back up this large power wheel, just so we can make sure that we've got plenty of power. Oh, pause. I just realised we're still pumping water while we're in the drought. Ooh, oopsies. Will we have enough water to keep everything irrigated to survive? I think we will. We've got that amount of space there. After playing on hard difficulty, seeing that a drought is only 2.7 days just feels like nothing. It really doesn't elicit the same fear. Ordinarily, this amount of space, which represents 2.5 days, would be just this little section here, because we'd already have to traverse another 10 to get to that point. Oh, look at that, the smelter is finished as well. Oh, we're going to be able to start producing metal blocks. Now, are we actually producing enough power? We're not. What I might do is actually pause the gear workshop, just so we can free up a little bit of extra power for the smelter, which is now running at 97% power input, which is great. Something else I think I will do as well, I don't believe we have any storage for metal blocks yet. We don't, so in anticipation of that, let's put in some storage for metal blocks. Boom. Now that we've got metal blocks on the way as well, we will actually be able to build the bad water pump, which does take 5 metal blocks. What I might do, since we do have bad water coming down here for the time being, actually, no, we do have access to bad water up here. I can't get it on that side, but I can get it around there. That sounds like a good plan, because once we start getting bad water being produced, well, collected rather, it means that we will also be able to start building explosives, which is going to be huge. What I might also do while we're here is actually put in some storage so we're ready for the bad water. It looks like we can't fit it underneath that overhang, so we may pop it there instead, just to the side, and select that as bad water. Oh, we have survived this drought easily, even with my idiocy of keeping the log pumpers pumping. Now I would like to get this little dam in sooner rather than later, just so we can begin to build up the water here, and that'll provide an extra little buffer in the event that we have trouble in a drought. It looks like we've also gotten this lumber mill going as well, which is fantastic. I may, given we do have some unemployed beavers, I may actually unpause this gear workshop, and for the sake of power, which we're going to begin chewing through, I'm going to up the priority of this compact water wheel as well. What I might do in the meantime as well is, how much power are we, if we pause this, how much power are we producing here? 480. I would like to put another water wheel just here, and I think that might be sufficient to keep these buildings at least running while we're in the temperate season. 80%, yep. So we might up the priority of that now as the next thing to build. We can also unpause these log pumpers now too. Right, now that we've got the next power wheel in, it looks like we are producing enough supply to meet the demand, which is fantastic. It looks like the beavers are also beginning work on these sluices, as well as this dam. That's perfect. Right, and through the magic of editing, we've now got the dam in place. So, before we begin to raise this water level, one thing I have noticed is we're beginning to slack on food a little bit. Now I think part of the reason might be because a lot of our planting area is actually taken up by kohlrabi, which is far from an efficient food source. So what we may do is actually clear the planting area for a lot of this kohlrabi to replace it with cassava, which we'll be able to make much more economical use out of. Something else as well is I've noticed our logs have depleted quite a lot, but the dam is coming along very quickly, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, let's begin raising this water level. I believe dams, which is what we have down here, dams I believe are at a height of 6.6. So what we might do is raise this downstream depth to 6 and allow this to fill back up a little bit. That way, even in a drought, this will remain at a consistent level, we won't be losing excess in a drought over the dam. And then once this is filled up, then the excess water will come over the dam, which will continue powering these water wheels. Now I do feel like we need to get some more trees on the go, but I don't quite know where we would be able to plant them. We do have this space down here, albeit small, but we do have this space down here. So what I might do is actually plant some pine trees down here, which we should be able to reach with this forester. Oh, that's perfect. Now I don't believe we're going to be able to plant all of these, but we'll be able to plant most of it. We do also have 2 lumberjack flags down here as well, so that will come in handy for that. Now given that this isn't backing up and water is continuing to flow over here, I feel like potentially dams have been changed to be a level of 6. So what I might do... Oh, I'm such an idiot. No, it's because I haven't set it to auto yet. That's why. So hopefully now we'll be able to see this level begin to rise. And just like that, look at all this extra water we have. That's absolutely fantastic. And just as planned, the water is now spilling over the dams, excess to what is in the reservoir, and now it's able to power these power wheels. What I might do as well is begin replanting the cassava down here, and I've prioritized this farmhouse in harvesting kohlrabi to expedite removing this. And we will do the same just down in this little pocket as well. I also notice now, because the water level has risen, we have more irrigated land down here, which is all well and truly in reach of the forester. So we can begin planting this out with more pine, which will help our our depleting wood supply. Well, I think overall I'm pretty happy with the progress we've made. We've managed to increase the amount of water in our reservoir. We've gotten the smelter going along with metal block production, and we've been able to get both a new building hut and a hauling post to help assist in the building of the mega dam. If you're liking this series so far, then give the video a like and subscribe if you like. It really helps me out quite a lot, being a new channel, and it lets me know people are liking this so far. Anyway, until next time, catch ya.